Hundreds of Ugandans are the latest victims of a pyramid scheme that defrauded them of a colossal 4.5 billion shillings between 2018 and 2020.
The funny part of it, Mr. Kaga was an elder in one of the churches, and most of the complainants were followers in that church.
Anengamba abantu ku kanisa abantu ne baleta sente yaletanga milioni yaletanga 5 yaleta 3 ngabera atekayo sente bwabera yongera yazimba business betutuuka mu gwe 11 awo sente natandika obutatuwa sente tubanja milioni 3 waliwo kanisa endala y'omukwano gwange babanja billion emu milioni 10.
At the heart of this sophisticated web is a briefcase company, Global Cryptocurrency Limited, which exploited the ignorance of its victims to receive deposits under voluntary contractual obligations.
Nze amazima matuufu nagumira ku kya president kubanga namulaba ku TV ngagulawo ebintu ebyo. Ale n'atugamba nti kati ebintu bidda katugenda na mulembe tuze ku digital.
A Ponzi scheme is an elaborate scam promising high rates of return with little risk to investors. It generates returns for early investors by acquiring new clients. Both Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes eventually bottom out when the flood of new investors dries up and there isn't enough money to go around. At that point, the schemes unravel, like in the case of Global Cryptocurrency Limited. Perhaps without a clear understanding of how cryptocurrencies operate, even those in privileged positions have fallen victim to a scam so widespread it caught the attention of Bank of Uganda.
In this case, in the instant case, he had established offices all over the country.
Kati bwe wajjanga n'oleeta miliyoni ng'omwezi guggwako ng'akuddiza miliyoni emu emitwalo 4 kitegeeza omwezi okoze amagoba ga mitwalo 4. Kati gwe kyewakolanga kubanga oyagala okufuna ennyingi ng'oyongerako emitwalo 6 kwezo zaakuwadde ng'oweza miliyoni 2. Kati bwe wawangayo 2 ng'ofuna miliyoni 2 mu emitwalo 8. Okitegeera. Kaakati abantu lwaki twabbibwa? Twayagala nga tuweze ng'oyagala oweze miliyoni 10 obeere ng'ofuna miliyoni zo 4 buli mwezi.
My friend kept telling me about it, how he conned them, how they were giving him money. Some had stayed in for a year, others had stayed in for over a year. Now, it was, I think, around November 20th to 28th, 2019. Someone called them and tells them, guys, you know what? These people are not there at office. Their office has been closed. But I live in Arua. Some Nigerian, I think, was in and the wife. Then they were not given their money, and the Nigerians became so terrible. They brought police, then they had to close the office, picked staff, took them, others were taken here at CPS, others were to Old Kampala, and others, I don't know, and the office was closed.
One of the directors of Global Cryptocurrency, Andrew Kagwa Kulumba, was recently arrested and is currently being detained at Chitalia prison, as the other directors, Hudson Ntende, Ronald Kasirie, and Sheila Harriet Nasali, are on the run.
We went to police in Chibuli, recorded statements. Now at Chibuli we have 7 box files.
Everyone came, there were about 700 plus, because there was Lira branch, there was Fort Poto branch, there was Masaka branch, there was, I think, Jinja branch, and the main being Kampala at Namlembe Road.
A November 23, 2019 Police General Inquiry Report opens a murky window into circumstances under which 603 people recorded statements with police after Global Cryptocurrency Limited defrauded them. Using the deposit-taking institution, the directors received money between a range of 2 million shillings and 300 million shillings.
There is this one, Bira Joseph, he deposited 10 million. Investment date was 23rd November 2019.
Those conned include politicians, soldiers, and police officers. They were promised a 40% interest on their deposits per month, which was supposed to be paid in the Global Cryptocurrency account at Stanbic Bank Nachivubo branch and the Centenary Bank Mapera branch. Evidence is emerging that this syndicated cartel had ties with Kowe, Dutch International and Dutch Tea Project, opaque deposit-taking institutions riddled with court cases and accusations of fraud for over a decade. In one of the biggest swindles in the country spread across 2 decades, about 9,000 people lost close to 100 billion shillings to the directors of these bogus companies. The directors, including Kagwa, had carefully crafted the formation of their companies to conceal fraud. Between 2007 and 2011, courts of law handled the Kowe suit and appeals. But the ingredients of the serious offense of embezzlement could not be proven unless the corporate veil was pierced. What seems a close-knit web involving lawyers and the fraudsters, the Kowe fraud, Dutch Tea Project and the cryptocurrency scheme seem to have been constructed on a meticulous plan to escape serious criminal law offenses.
Now, we wrote this letter to Kadaga, then we wrote another letter to General David Muhozi, then we wrote another letter to General Mwine, then we wrote another letter to Major Kayanja Eli, then another letter to Matia Kasaija, and another letter to Iso, another letter to Brigadier Damlila, who sits at Bukoto. Out of these letters, Kadaga replied and said police should come in. General Muhozi David replied and sent us to Bukoto, Crime and Intelligence. And Major Kayanja Eli, for him what he did was, he called us, we met and got us a lawyer.
You need to know that Karumba Kagwa had earlier been aligned to court by the private prosecutors, but for one reason or another, the witnesses never turned up and the matter was eventually dismissed. However, for us, we are systematically building ours, and we have all the witnesses, and we believe we shall be able and timely bringing them to court so that at least we don't lose this case. And we have also taken other administrative actions against this officer, and we have done it in accordance with the provisions of the law and frozen some of the money that was got on some of the accounts which he was using to fraudulently acquire money from the members of the public.
Kowe was registered by the Registrar of Companies as a charity NGO in 2002 with Nixon Balikowa as director, but later morphed into microfinance deposit-taking institution. In the subsequent years, as the names and registration of these companies using fake identities continued, police could not keep up with the trail. The directors were quite smart to ensure that barely after being busted, they quickly formed other companies, and this is how they crystallized the cryptocurrency scheme.
The matter was reported to police. He stealthily escaped and went to Rwanda, where he was doing some business. Then later on, he also stealthily came in the country and registered this company, cryptocurrency. Of course, the challenge we have is that we have challenges with our colleagues at the time of registration of these companies. That is the Ugandan Registration Services Bureau. We want to engage them. We want to engage them, first of all, to always ensure that they do due diligence. So that, for example, if we bring to them a person whom we are looking for as the suspect or probably notorious criminal, that person should be blacklisted. Stringent measures at the time of registration should be adhered to, so that probably at the time of registration, that person can be apprehended.
Investigators have established a pattern of collaboration in both the Kowe, Dutch Tea and the recent cryptocurrency fraud. For instance, several complainants in both cases were not legally recognized as members of Kowe or global cryptocurrency, but had contractual dealings to save and get monthly interest on their money. Whereas people paid membership to the scheme and not the company, they deposited money to the company at the end of every month, and some got the interest or the entire funds reimbursed with interest. The directors in both cases enticed others to join with the hope of receiving a windfall, but this did not materialize. The Kabale Trial Magistrate's judgment in 2007 reads, Kowe, in my view, was an elaborate fraudulent scheme. It induced poor members of the society to contribute funds with the promise of quick profits. I am not satisfied with the vague explanations as to how it was paid back to members. The magistrate convicted Nixon Balikowa and Sedi Kasime of embezzlement, but their appeal succeeded. On May 2, 2012, Justice Kwesiga's verdict revealed that investigations into bank transactions of Kowe Limited were not sufficient to prove embezzlement. It is not contested that Bank of Uganda intervened in the transactions of Kowe Limited, caused terminations of the company transactions, and left the poor contributors' interests unprotected. There is no evidence of any recoveries by Bank of Uganda and for whose benefits, reads Justice Kwesiga's judgment. However, Justice Kwesiga advised that since the aggrieved depositors lost money in what the Chief Magistrate called an elaborate fraudulent scheme, they should pursue Kowe Limited and Bank of Uganda for the recovery of their money, basing on their contractual relationship with the company.
A court may decide that this man goes to prison to serve his jail term, or court may decide to and a refund. So that means this money can be recovered in a criminal matter, can be recovered, but as a civil debt. In alternative, that court does not give us that order, then we can file a civil suit. There is this one, Bira Joseph, he deposited 10 million. Investment date was 23rd November 2019.
After registering a victory in the courts of law, Kowe Limited ringleaders were emboldened and understood the weaknesses within the criminal justice system.
People want their money. And I have some of the victims, they say they had time with this guy at Mzila. Like 3-4 occasions, they would go and visit him. This guy says, I'm not paying anyone. If it means me to die in prison, I will die. He said he's not paying anyone back. But there's a time we went to court. He appeared. Court was supposed to see the lawyer. The judge was called Wegoe Joel. He did not even do a sitting. These people just sat in a side room, called one of the pastors. They know me as a police officer. They don't know me that I'm helping out Ugandans. They know me as a police officer. They called that pastor and told him, we are going to call you at a certain time. Then you sit, alias, we pay you back. We gave them 2 weeks. This guy wasn't called back. You see that?
How much was he claiming?
Back. That pastor. He was claiming over 100 million, him and the church. In fact, he told me,
they continued to register companies that act as financial institutions, take deposits from people with promises to pay or top up high interests. Basing on their crafty dealings, the directors were able to start their bogus companies and conscript more unsuspecting victims as their accounts continued to swell.
This is an offense that is highly syndicated. And we are doing all what it takes to ensure that, first of all, we burst into the whole entire syndicate. We have so far known some of the accomplices that this gentleman has been working with. We are on a vigorous hunt for them. We are very, very optimistic that very soon or later, these culprits will be apprehended and they will be charged to court.
They also continued to hold on to the funds of their victims. Currently, the police is handling a case of alleged electronic fraud and theft reported to Old Kampala Police Station involving the same leaders whose names appeared in the case of Kowe Limited, Dutch International and Dutch International Tea Project. To break this syndicate, there has to be a sufficient chain of evidence against the founders of these fraudulent schemes to be able to save Ugandans from the hands of conmen. Irene Abalo, NTV Panorama.